Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown featuring myself under the guise of Medan Lord in charge of the ferocious Beastmen up against NK Dragon Knight, a fearsome foe we've had on the channel multiple times already, in charge of the Tomb Kings. Now, in the secret realms of the dark woods of the old world, there is a hidden kind of miracle, and that is a competitive Beastmen Lord who's not Morga the Shadowgave. Can you guess who it is? We'll get to him in just a second. But for the rest of our build, on the left-hand side, we have two Centaurs. Look like they're going to be retreating straight out the gate from a ton of skeleton horsemen archers. In our main battle line, we have gone incredibly cheap and cheerful in the form of Ungor herds. These guys are here simply to slap into the enemy. They do some decent damage up against skeletons and allows us to go wide and put valuable resources into other elements. Those other elements include the Sons of Goros, regiment of renowned Centaurs with great weapons down here on the flank. We also have the Butchers of Kalkengard and the Gorok's Man Rippers, regiment of renowned Minotaurs with regeneration, and regiment of renowned Bestigor herds here, coming with that glorious anti-large and armor piercing. In the form of characters, we have a Bray Shaman of Wild on down here on a chariot. On the chariot is certainly the best way to bring the Bray Shamans, in my opinion. We're going to be bringing Devolve, as well as the more competitive Bray Scream and Vile Tide, two very powerful spells, which will help you clear through chaff rather quickly. And this is the guy we're going to talk about today. We have Khazrak the One Eye. Now, we've had a few videos about him before with the changes he got with the latest DLC, and I think he's pretty damn good. Papa Palpatine sent me a ton of good replays of him not too long ago, and I've completely lost them, so I had to bring him out myself and play a few games of him on Quick Battle, and then we've had pretty good success. He's coming with a Scourge, Apocalyptic Vision, which is a very powerful area of effect buff, plus 24 melee attack and 16 leadership is nasty, Deadly Onslaught, and the Dark Mail, giving them that 20% resistance. With Harpies over in the distance and double Chaos Warhounds as well, hidden in the flanks. Now, for my opponent, he does have those 4 units of Skeleton Horsemen Archers we already spoke about earlier. Apart from that, he has a nice infantry core, Skeleton Spearmen knocked up with some more warriors as well, including the Kepper Guard, regiment of renowned Tomb Guard in the back line. This entire back line should do rather good. We've got the Nehekara warriors here, who should again, be able to chew their way through my pesky little Gore herds, Ungor herds, and the like. In the backbones here, we do have 2 units of Skeleton Spearmen, one of which is the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion. They're protecting a Casket of Souls. I'm a very big fan of this pick in general. It can do some huge burst damage, especially to my more expensive troops. We also have a Hero Titan on the right-hand side, and Cetra the Imperishable on the left, on top of his mighty Kitty Catty, bringing all the expected items and buffs, the Blessed Blade of Petra, Wrath of Petra, Incantation of Protection, all that good stuff, like Cursed Blades. It looks like we are going to be launching some shots into the Butchers of Kalkengard straight out of the gate. Luckily for me, the Man Rippers are currently hidden by this gigantic sandy mound here, and the rest of our forces are going to be pushing up. Ungor herds are taking arrows to the face at this moment, but they're not too fussed by that. They're going to simply raise their shields up, take the damage, and continue the charge forward. Chaos Warhounds with poison in the back have been spotted, however. My opponent really desperately trying to push them out into the corner of the map so he can protect his Casket of Souls, which can do, of course, some horrific damage. You can see our guys currently just chilling as the rest of the formation is starting to approach and move up. We did get a lovely little Bray Scream down on these warriors, doing some nice damage, and I believe we are going to be going for some more big shots relatively soon, but we are going to be escaping as well. Pesky Cetra is going to be floating out to put some pressure on our Bray Shaman, so he's going to be falling back where possible, and it looks like the Man Rippers, good, targeted by my opponent with that Casket of Souls, is going to be targeting the Man Rippers, doing some pretty good damage straight out of the gate. So we do see a nice little opening here. We're going to be charging in with both units of Centaurs on top of the Kepper Guard to do some nice damage. And you can see a massive Vile Tide going down in the back, doing huge damage to the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion and Horseman Archers. And in come the Warhounds, salivating at the lips there, going to be crunching the bones of these Skeleton Horse Archers, doing some really nice damage. I'm just trying to harass them and hold them back as long as possible, allow my other units to clean up the front line. Butchers of Kalkengard doing a fantastic job, and as you can see, we've left a few units in tactical reserve, and that is because this battle is pretty crazy micro-wise. I'm trying to use Khazrak where possible. He's a very micro-intensive character, but can do some huge damage, already up to 15 kills, helping slaughter these warriors, allowing Ungors to punch way above their weight, before hunting down Cetra the Imperishable. That big kitty cat is nothing to the mighty Razor Gore Piggy, and he's going to be nipping at the heels, trying to do some damage, and over time, Khazrak can certainly add up. Deadly Onslaught as well. Pretty impressive stuff. We have the Butchers in support, and it looks like the Centaur's going to be floating out to the side, trying to get a surround on Cetra and pin him in place. A lovely shot comes in from the Hero Titan, clipping at the Bray Shaman, who rather angrily is going to do a Bray Scream in return, doing some massive damage to the King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion, allowing the Warhounds then to swerve in one more time, trying to surround the casket and shut it down, and at least we're bogging it down in combat, not allowing it to shoot and live up to its full potential. Elsewhere along the battle line, you can see Ungor herds are engaging with skeleton warriors in the ultimate fight of, cheap and cheerful chaff, pretty much. All the way along the battle line, it is a ferocious affair, although it looks like the mighty Minotaurs have decided to push through to try and dismember some of these warriors. We do have Cetra completely pinned at this point. We have kind of bunched up a little bit too much. My opponent coming down with that summon as well, but he's pulling me away with Cetra, meaning the summon's not going to be too useful, and Centicles are rather quick, consistently doing that lovely bit of burst damage to him. In the back lines, we do have some Warhounds who have rallied, and we finally did remember our troops in reserve. I should mean we deliberately now deployed them, as the Ungor Raiders army forcing back more Skeleton Horsemen Archers, just keeping them away from my squishier targets, such as the Centicles and the Minotaurs. And it looks like the Brave Shaman as well continue to be a pest, dropping spells left, right, and centre, but we've had a huge break in the centre. Both units of Centicles have run for the hills, as well as the Ungor Raiders. Luckily, the Gorok's Man Rippers, or Sons of Goros, sorry, have returned to the field. Going to be darting over to try and intervene with the enemy, as well as Khazrak One-Eye, who's continuing to hunt down Cetra, doing some lovely damage, despite the fact Incantation of Protection is currently online. That little piggy is sniffing in the wrong neighbourhood, but doing some absolutely massive damage. Cetra down to 2,400 health at the moment, and the Brave Shaman as well, coming in to try and snipe out the Casket of Souls. The good play by my opponent. King the Catcher Scorpion Legion are here, ready to support, and the Hero Titan is going to be popping in with those fire attacks on top of the Butchers, doing some massive burst damage. Of course, those guys have regeneration, and therefore a weakness to fire. Khazrak simply is dogging at the footsteps of Cetra here, who cannot escape, trying his best to move away and into different blobs of enemies, coming to try and slaughter and break this big central portion we have. But Khazrak is simply going to charge once more into the deep. Over in the back lines, unfortunately, the Butchers of Kalkengard are wavering. They're just taking huge amounts of burst damage from this Hero Titan, and they are really struggling quite bad. Looks like they are indeed going to break, and the Brave Shaman perhaps going to be taking a shot here as well. Looks like he's managed to dart out of the way, at least for now. Casket of Skulls once again can fire in to this big scary blob of troops, and the Beastmen are breaking. Even the loyal Man Rippers are terrified and running for the hills, but one troop not terrified is Khazrak the One-Eye. He has shown the world the Beastmen are not to be trifled with. A bottom tier faction no longer, he screams as he chases down Cetra, down to just 33 health, 22 health, 11 health. He is crumbling, and Cetra shall serve the One-Eye in hell. And down he goes, and with that, things are starting to look a little bit better for us. Balance power does go hugely in our favour. A lovely Shem's Burning Gaze, though, from the Titan. Tries to cripple the Brave Shaman, who did manage to just about dodge and escape one last time. And the Casket of Souls did also break in that little engagement. It looks like the majority of my opponent's build is starting to crumble here. Chaos Warhounds are going to be swooping in to get a lovely rear attack. We can see the Man Rippers have finally regained their strength following the example put upon them by Khazrak to come back to the fight and start cleaving these bone boys into pieces. All the Centicles as well are starting to clobber in, and with that, it looks like the opponent's build is going to start to crumble into dust. Now, the Hero Titan is still fighting, trying to snipe some of our characters, but we're simply going to pull out with them, and they're really quite powerful on their chariots. Heroes in particular, like the Brave Shaman, are very, very good, but the herd has arrived, led by the Sons of Goros, into the fray here, and the Hero Titan is in the end going to retreat and bow out with some dignity there. Very well played to my opponent. A Pyrrhic victory for sure. We lost an absolute bucket ton of troops, which is the way with Beastmen, but very well played to Dragon Knight. I'm actually a big fan of his build. He has some really good backline protection early on, and allowing the Casket of Souls to continue to rain in some fire, getting a whopping 6,500 damage dealt there. But before we get to all the stats, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content in the future. Feel free to comment down below as well. I do read through all of them, and if you want to send in replays, feel free to join my Discord. There is a link in the description down below. And lastly as well, last little plug there, we do actually have a stream tonight at 7 PM GMT. A clan war should be some good fun. Anyway, for the Dragon Knight's build here, Cetra the Imperishable up to 69 kills and 9,500 damage dealt. Certainly did a pretty decent work, but unfortunately was outmatched by a much scarier lord in the form of Khazrak One-Eye. Of course, we're kind of joking there for those who don't know. Cetra's a pretty decent and reliable lord all round. But yeah, basically got pinned down and just shut down by the constant pressure of the chariot characters. Apart from that, front line is here to simply die, and unfortunately his more kind of elite troops as well did suffer from being a little bit isolated in pockets, allowing me to cycle charge with the Centigors, but also those Brave Screams and Vile Tides really did start to add up. Good play initially as well with the Skeleton Horsemen archers, pulling them back and protecting the back lines up against the hounds, but then they kind of got dragged out of position over to the far echelons of the battlefield, being hunted down by hounds and shielded Ungors, where unfortunately were a little bit wasted. All around that, I'm a big fan of this Hero Titan pick as well. 4,000 damage, 1,200 damage value is relatively scary stuff. And it was full health at the end, so his rest of the build didn't crumble around him. This bad boy still had plenty left in the tank. A really nice pick as well to counter the Butchers of Kalkengard, who are a pretty common pick in general Beastmen builds. As for our own force, of course, we are going to look at the man, the myth, the legend, Khazrak One-Eye. 8,200 damage dealt and nearly 2k damage value, while still having 3/4 of his health. He is a scary, scary foe indeed. And honestly, I've been saying it for ages, Morga the Shadowgate is the most competitive Beastman Lord. But if his Chaos Spawn summons mess up and you don't get them in the right positions, he's not going to die quickly, but he's not going to kill too much either. And I think maybe, just maybe, Khazrak actually might be a tiny wee bit better. Been having a ton of fun with him recently in quick battles on ladder and so forth. The Vanguard is quite useful, but it's the fact he's relatively hard hitting and pretty hard to kill because he's simply going to swoop away on his mighty chariots. Now, it does depend on the matchup. If he's up against something very fast and hard hitting, he's going to be in big trouble, such as a dragon, for example. But otherwise, apart from that, he can do relatively well, but also can be used as bait. If a dragon does want to charge Khazrak, that is absolutely fine. You then counter punch with all your Centaurs and surround the beast. Brave Shaman with Wild is another unit I'm a big fan of. I'm trying to stay away from summons where possible, because that's been the Beastmen meta for so long. But Viletide and Brave Scream, but particularly Viletide Overcast, does horrific damage to the enemy. 93 kills, 17,000 damage dealt, 2,300 damage value. Fantastic stuff. Of course, the Ungor Herds aren't going to do crazy value here. They're really just to make up the meat of the army. And the Gorox Man Rippers did some okay damage, but did suffer a little bit as well from some terror routing, which is, of course, a nightmare for Beastmen players in general. Centaurs did okay, as well as Sons of Goros and the Hounds, but these troops were basically just pushing away enemy skirmishers and trying to cycle charge where possible. Harpies were similar kind of used as well. Butchers of Kalkengard got them into some bad matchups all round on top of Spearmen and on top of that Hero Titan, but they were a big, nice, lovely distraction, which allowed the rest of the build to really deal the damage in the form of these lords and characters. And guys, what are your thoughts on Khazrak One-Eye? Do you think he is competitive? Do you think he's terrible? Let me know down below in the description. Until next time, guys, peace, peace, and until next time, stay awesome.